After the after the banging house, I tended to get a few more calls about kind of house mysteries, and this was another one. See, his family had been in this house actually for, oh, I don't know, probably a year or so, and then kind of, well, out of nowhere, they could figure out, they started hearing this noise, this beep, 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 and then it would stop again. And it would do that, I don't know, it's hard to tell. It was like a long way between times. It was a little hard to tell how long. Something in the neighborhood of like half an hour. So really annoying. It wasn't crazy loud, but it was annoying. And it was in this fancy old house. This house that had been built in the 1920s. Really cool house. And this was in the kitchen that this kept happening. It was beep, 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 beep. So yeah, they called Ollie in because they couldn't figure it out. So they described the problem to Ollie. Said, yeah, so we've been here a year, and then all of a sudden this just starts. And I feel like we've checked everything. We replaced the batteries and all the smoke detectors and the CO detectors. And at this point, I have just sat in front of each appliance, listening. And as far as I can tell, it isn't any of the appliances in the kitchen. I've done the same. I've sat down the stairs by the heating and air conditioning system, and it doesn't seem to be coming from there. There isn't a security system, so it isn't that. I said, have you checked with the neighbors? I said, yeah, checked with the neighbors, and they don't have any. They don't hear the noise. So I don't think it's coming through the walls. We've gone outside to see if there's, some appliance that some neighbor has, but you can't hear it outside, so it's not outside. And we're just totally stumped, Ollie. It's driving us nuts. I said, all right. And you say it seems to be the loudest in the kitchen. I said, the loudest in the kitchen. We can hear it in other parts of the house. Like the upstairs from the kitchen is what we call it the library, but it's kind of the library. There's lots of bookshelves and magazines and stuff like that. I said, all right, let's go up there for a minute. So they went up there, and Ollie sort of looked around, and it had almost all the house, and the library included, had the original hardwood floors, that had been there since the place was built. So I started looking around to see if there were any changes, anything that would indicate something new, and that might be, where this beeping was coming from, but there really wasn't anything. There was a radio in that room, but it was an old analog radio, and it was turned off. It wasn't doing the beeping. About then, I only heard the beep. It was beep, 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 beep. And it sounded kind of muffled when they opened the library, but he hadn't heard it downstairs yet, so he didn't quite know. So I said, so what else have you tried? So, well, it's going to sound crazy, but we bought a little remote control wheeled drone, and we sent it through the ducts of the heating and air conditioning system, and we didn't see anything unusual there. I said, no, you have heating and air conditioning here, like a central system. They said, yes, we do. Yeah, it's not original to the house, obviously. I said, yeah. Do you know about when that was put in? I said, yeah, we have some records from the people that owned the house before us, and the ducts were running. The first HVAC system was put in the late 80s, and then only a couple of years ago, really, they put in a newer system, like a high efficiency system, still central, but it's a direct vent and it's all fancy. It's very cool. Oh, I said, huh. Did they do any other work? I said, I know that they had some of the windows stripped and refinished, and they did some things to the kitchen, kind of updated the kitchen. Not a full update, but just did a handful of things. I don't know exactly what. I don't have a before photo of the kitchen or anything like that. But I know they said that they did some upgrades to the kitchen. I said, all right. Let me go back to the kitchen. Let's listen for this beep. Look around the kitchen, see if we can think of anything. So Ollie wandered around the kitchen, kind of looking in real detail, trying to understand what, when they did the renovation of the kitchen, what they had done. Because it too still had the hardwood floors, although unlike the rest of the house, in the kitchen the hardwood floors had a thick layer of clear polymer coat. And I said, and the homeowner said, yeah, no, it has to be really great. Whatever they put down there is really good stuff. You know, spill stuff on it and it just wipes right up. It's great. The floor's really nice. And they had like a carpet on the floor. Just like a runner rug along the way. I opened up the cabinets to look at the cabinets and try and figure out if those were original. And they looked, well, the doors are kind of a giveaway sometimes. And these doors looked like they were pretty old. They were in good shape. They were in really good shape. For one thing, the doors set into the cabinets, which is an older style. And then the hinges looked really old. So I thought maybe these cabinets are original. Countertop looked, well, I could tell that was new because it was made out of a kind of a synthetic quartz. But it's a pretty recent product. It looked great, but it wasn't original by any stretch of the imagination. And I looked around, just trying to figure out what else is new. And I was looking around, he heard the beep, 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 beep. And I was like, well, I'm sure that really sounded like it was coming from above us. I said, yeah, that's what I thought at first. It was just a smoke alarm, but we checked the smoke alarm and put in new batteries and then did everything, and it isn't. I even thought it must be malfunctioning, and so I replaced it, went to the hardware store and got a brand new smoke alarm and put it up there instead, and still it's doing that. I said, well, do you mind if I check it? I said, sure, go ahead. So I climbed up there. It was accessible from the top of the cabinet, so I just climbed up there. I pulled it off and looked at it just to make sure that it was installed right, you know? But it was the thing. It was installed just right. I thought, yeah. Put the smoke detector back on. And he noticed as he did that he had to kind of, the light in the ceiling was kind of hot. And he got back down and he thought about it. I said, wait a second, the light in the ceiling is kind of hot. He thought about that for a second. He went over into the room next door, which was the dining room. That's when he noticed something, that the dining room had a chandelier that went straight up to a plaster ceiling. And then there were also wall sconces with surface mount wiring. He went into the living room. The living room had wall sconces with surface mount wiring, and then floor lamps, but there wasn't a central light fixture. He came back over to the kitchen, and he looked very carefully, right at the threshold. I said, do you have a broom I could borrow? I said, yeah, sure. Do you mind if I put a couple of, I'll tell you what, do you have masking tape? I said, yeah, sure, hold on a second, I get both those things from the basement. So the homeowner came back up with the broom and the masking tape. And I put a piece of masking tape on the door frame. Between the kitchen and the dining room was just an open door frame, no door hung in it, just kind of a portal. So I put a piece of tape on the door frame, and then put the broom up against the door frame with the top at the end of the handle touching the ceiling. And you put a piece of tape on the broom, matching with the tape on the doorway where it was. Home Anderson says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've got a theory." And he brought the broom into the kitchen. And he took the broom and he put the end of it up against the ceiling. And there, when he did that, the tape mark on the broom was below the tape mark on the doorway by about 4 inches. I said, aha. That solved the mystery, I think. But you've got a little bit of a challenge ahead of you about dealing with it. I said, what is it? What have you figured out? Well, I said, take a look at the ceiling in the kitchen. In the kitchen, you have recessed lights. You've got lights that are built up into the kitchen ceiling. Looks really great. It's a really nice way to do a kitchen. You want really good lighting in the kitchen. So whenever they redid the kitchen, one of the things they did was they added these lights. But to do that, they had to bring the ceiling down by the depth of the lights. Well, the depth of the light fixture, anyway. So the ceiling in here, you look at it carefully, it's drywall, not plaster. That's the other clue. It's a slightly different material, and they did a good job. You can just barely tell, but you can tell. So you've got a ceiling here that's a false ceiling. It's lower than the real ceiling. I think when they did that, they accidentally sealed the old smoke detector inside the ceiling. And the homeowner said, "Oh no," and now, a year later or whatever, it's run out of batteries. I said, exactly. It's beeping underneath the drywall because it's run out of batteries. I said, "Oh no, I don't want to tear up my ceiling just to get rid of a stupid smoke detector." I said, "Yeah, no, it's understandable. That would be pretty irritating." The homeowner said, "Ollie, I know you're a detective, not a contractor, but I don't know, do you have any ideas about what we could do?" I said, bad news is I can think of 2 things you could do. You could go ahead and hire a contractor to find this smoke detector and pull it out. You might be able to open up these light fixtures, and depending on how they're put in there, you might be able to reach inside and reach the smoke detector. I can't tell where in the ceiling it is, but it's possible you'd be able to reach in through the hole for the light fixture, if it comes out that way, and take off the smoke detector. I said, I guess I can try that. It sounded like that was the third option. I said, well, the third option you're going to like even less, maybe. But, a smoke alarm on a battery only lasts so long, even when it's telling you a low battery. Do you know if the smoke detectors are hardwired or if they're just battery? I said, no, they're just battery. There's no central circuit for the smoke detectors. I know because the inspector was concerned about that when we did the housing inspection. I said, so the options that's going to get you away from digging into your ceiling is to just wait. Wait until the battery runs all the way out, and then there won't be any charge left to make that beep, beep, beep happen. And right as I said that, the beep, 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 beep happened again. And I said, well, I'm going to think about that, but thank you for your help. I said, hey, no problem, anytime. Good luck with your dilemma. And that was Ollie in the case of the Beeeep.